issue of the day by first introducing the special advisor
statement, and then we have titled it "Enough of Playing the Ostrich" regarding the Special Purpose Vehicle SPV saga. And we have said that we strongly demand the immediate arrests and or invitation. If you are not arresting, you are inviting, interrogation, and possible prosecution of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Gentlemen of the press, these are the facts of this matter. For about a week now, Nigerians have been in deep shock over the grave revelations by a whistleblower, Mr. Michael Achimogo, who has provided the nation with iron-cast evidence of letters of appointment by Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, emails, documents, audio clips, sworn affidavits, and his direct oral evidence as to how Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who happens to be the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, during his tenure as Vice President of Nigeria between 1999 and 2007, colluded with his then boss, President Olusegun Obasanjo, to fleece the country and steal public funds using what he termed the Special Purpose Vehicle, SPVs. Those SPVs were companies Atiku admittedly registered upon assumption of office as Vice President with the approval of President Olusegun Obasanjo, using trusted allies as shareholders and directors. The purpose was to divert government contracts to these companies as consultants, and then paid monies into these companies and use those monies to fund the PDP and their private businesses and family activities. We can all vividly recall that during that tenure, both President Olusegun Obasanjo and Atiku Abubakar built the Bell University and American University respectively. Now, we know where those funds came from. They came from the SPVs. We hereby make available certified copies of the sworn affidavits, sworn to and released to the public by the whistleblower. We have made it available to you, and so you have a certified copy of those affidavits with you, giving graphic details of all that transpired, including attached documents. Gentlemen, let us also play to you the voice recording that he did of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar following those emails. Atiku then called him, and the phone number is there by which he called him, the time of the call, everything is provided for there. Let us play to you the voice recording of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Note that he provided the time of the call, the phone number and he used, and the emails immediately preceding the call. Gentlemen, it's just a 2-minute audio. Listen to it.
Conversation between me and him.
Mike.
Yes, sir.
How can you ask me what is this theory?
I don't know SPVs, and in this mission before I start arguing with these people.
SPV is a special purpose vehicle. In other words, is a company they incorporate to carry out certain, activities.
Okay, sir.
You see what happened was when we came into, the office, and I advised the president against, open corruption.
Yes, sir.
I told him, I said, give me 3 people you trust.
Yes, sir.
And I will prepare 3 companies which they will be the subscribers, or rather the directors.
Okay, sir.
So that, if there is any contract that we give, they will act like consultants, and then they are giving a fee. And that fee is what we now use, to fund the party instead of, engaging. So he gave me the names of Fashawe, Andy Uba, and the late, this guy, from Bornote, who died in that plane crash. Trying to retrieve them.
Okay, sir.
So I now incorporate selected companies and I put them as subscribers. And one of the companies was Marine Float.
Yes, sir.
So when this governor sent a donation to the party now, he sent it to Marine Float. So it was paid into Marine Float.
Yes, sir.
You know. And one of the subscribers of Marine Float was Papa. You know, that account was very well investigated by EFCC to see whether, you know, there was any issue. They found out that there was nothing.
Yes, sir.
So that was where the 100 million went to. It did not go to Atiku Abubakar. It went to Marine Float. The Marine Float was an SPV, special purpose vehicle, created, you know, as a consulting company. So that was the way I handled it.
Okay,
you know. Yes. So that was what I was really trying to explain to you. No money was given to Atiku Abubakar.
Well, gentlemen, that is the summary of it. It went on and on, but that is the meat of it. And I'm sure you got the meat of the gist. This has been in the public domain, and I'm sure you have also listened to it and saw it, including the emails that preceded the call. Because what happened was that there was an allegation that time Dariye had just been jailed over this matter. And I'm sure you all know that one of the counts preferred against Governor Dariye was this 100 million. And that was why he was jailed. That was why Dariye was jailed. This 100 million. But it was the linkage to Atiku that we could not get all along, because it was paid to Marine Float. Now he provided the evidence to say that Marine Float was actually the cover that they used, because Dariye took money directly from the coffers of Plateau State and paid to Marine Float. That was why he was jailed. That he diverted money belonging to the Plateau people. Now we know that this money actually found its way back to Atiku Abubakar and his boss. But they used people as front to siphon these monies and so many others. There were other two companies that he did not mention, but he mentioned Marine Float, by which they were siphoning money from the public coffers. Now, gentlemen, possible infractions of the law. From the oral account of the whistleblower, the voice notes, and all other supporting documents, these are the possible infractions of the law Atiku Abubakar has committed, and we urge his prosecution with his duties and responsibilities. 10 says, a public officer shall not ask for or accept property or benefits of any kind for himself or any other person on account of anything done or omitted to be done by him in the discharge of his duties. 2, subsection 2 of 10, for the purposes of subsection 1 of this section, the receipt by a public officer of any gift or benefit from commercial firms, business enterprises, or persons who have contracts with governments, shall be presumed to have been received in contravention of the said subsection 1 of this section, unless the contrary is proved. 13, a public officer shall not do or direct to be done in abuse of his office any act prejudicial to the rights of any other person, knowing that such act is unlawful or contrary to any government policy. Section 17, a public officer who does any act prohibited by this act through a nominee, listen very carefully, through a nominee, trustee, or other agent, shall be deemed ipso facto to have committed a breach of this act. Now, there are also offenses against the Money Laundering Act, money laundering law here. Section 18 of the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022 states as follows. Any person, subsection 2, any person or body corporate in or outside Nigeria who directly or indirectly, A, conceals or disguises the origin of, that's the concealment, through marine floats, or converts or transfers, removes from the jurisdiction, or acquires, uses, retains, or takes possession or control of any fund or property intentionally, knowingly, or reasonably ought to have known that such fund or property is or forms part of the proceeds of an unlawful act, commits an offense of money laundering under this act. 3, there is also the possibility of offense of criminal breach of trust. Section 311 of the Penal Code reads thus: whoever being in any manner entrusted with property or with any dominion over property dishonestly misappropriates or converts to his own use that property, or dishonestly uses that or disposes of that property in violation of any direction of law prescribing the mode in which such trust is to be discharged, or of any legal contract, express or implied, which he has made touching the discharge of such trust, or willfully suffers any other person to so do, commits criminal breach of trust. Now, there's also possibly the offense of conspiracy. Section 96(1) of the Penal Code of Nigeria states as follows: when two or more persons agree to do or cause to be done A, an illegal act, or B, an act which is not illegal by illegal means, such agreement is called a criminal conspiracy. Now, we want to make the point that Atiku does not enjoy immunity simply because he is a presidential candidate. And we're saying this because we understand that the law enforcement agencies may be reluctant to act simply because of the perception of persecution of a presidential candidate that this may evoke. However, facts are sacred. The facts so far presented to the world clearly indicate that Atiku Abubakar has a case to answer. He has an explanation to make. In other climes, when such serious allegations arose in the middle of campaigns, the law enforcement agencies acted decisively. You may recall that in 2016, in the middle of campaigns for the exalted office of the President of the United States, the FBI opened investigation into allegation of misuse of private emails against Hillary Clinton when she was Secretary of State. In fact, the case was referred to the Justice Department for likely prosecution few weeks to actual voting. Though she was later cleared, it bears restating that a sane and dispassionate system never allowed such side talks to dissuade or to distract them from initiating a process of investigation. That is all we are asking for. It is the minimum expected in a constitutional democracy. That is what we call on the authorities to do in the case of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. He has to be arrested. He has to be invited. He's not God. He's not. He doesn't enjoy immunity because he's a candidate. He must be invited. Now, we also made the point that all monies should be recovered from the marine float account. They should go back, whoever took money from there. The issue of the marine float account is not new to Nigerians. In the voice note, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar can be heard boasting that the issue of that account was thoroughly investigated by the EFCC, yet he was smart enough to escape. However, we note that in 2006, at the height of public quarrel between Obasanjo over the sharing of money, the same PDP, and I'm sure you all have seen it, the same PDP officially asked Atiku to refund 500 million naira that he took from that account. It was official, not we saying it. PDP at that time officially told Atiku Abubakar to refund 500 million naira he took from that same marine float account. So these are not just stories made up. In the circumstance, since the nation now knows that the marine float accounts and other similar accounts were SPV accounts, it follows that all payments made into the account were money stolen from the public coffers. Therefore, we call on all security agencies to recover all monies withdrawn from that account by anyone for that matter, because any withdrawal done was public money they were stealing. Now, we say that Atiku Abubakar must apologize and renounce his ambition forthwith. In the light of these grave allegations, we call on Atiku Abubakar to immediately tender an unreserved apology to the Nigerian people and step down from the presidential race forthwith, whilst handing himself over to the law enforcement agencies. What is now clear to the Nigerian people is that between 1999 and 2007, President Obasanjo and Atiku ran a criminal enterprise and an empire of fraud in Abuja. At the same time that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was toiling hard, very hard, dutifully and meticulously laying the foundation to rebuild Lagos, two criminals were stealing money in Abuja at that same time. That following these revelations, it becomes clear that Atiku Abubakar has absolutely nothing to campaign on again, as the period of 1999 to 2007 that he always relies on can now be described by Nigerians as the SPV years, when they ran Nigeria aground. So anytime they come on air and say, you know what, between 2009 and 2009, we just say, oh, you mean the SPV years? That's what you tell them, you mean the special purpose years. That's why President Obasanjo and Atiku deprived the good people of Lagos State their local government monthly allocations, even after the Supreme Court ordered the release of those funds, they were busy stealing the nation's resources by stealth in Abuja. That the real dark reason for the seemingly irreconcilable quarrel between Obasanjo and Atiku is disagreement over monies they both stole in the SPV accounts at that time. We also call for the protection of the whistleblower. When President Muhammad Buhari came to office, one significant policy he adopted was that of whistleblowing. You are all witnesses to the fact that that policy has recorded tremendous success with the recovery of millions of dollars from various hidden sources. One was the famous Ikoyi apartment heist. These recoveries have been used by the Buhari administration to fund our budgets and build infrastructure we see springing up everywhere in the country today. We also recall that recently the Federal Executive Council approved a bill to be forwarded to the National Assembly for legal backing to the policy and legal protection for the whistleblower. I made tremendous contribution that day when that bill came to the Federal Executive Council for it to be forwarded to the National Assembly. And we have approved it, a bill to protect whistleblowers. In the light of the above, we call on all well-meaning Nigerians and the law enforcement agencies to protect the whistleblower, Mr. Michael Achimugu, who has blown this whistle on Atiku Abubakar. No harm must befall him or members of his family. We suspect that some goons of Atiku Abubakar are planning to eliminate him and members of his family. In fact, my big brother here, FFK, actually hinted me about something like that yesterday. We shall hold Atiku Abubakar responsible if anything befalls this patriotic Nigerian or members of his family. We also encourage him to reveal to Nigerians or to reveal to Nigerians those earth-shaking revelations he is withholding for the sake of this nation and the future of our children. We know that he said he's not going to reveal so many things. This is just what's important for the campaign. But please, we're begging him, reveal all. Nigerians deserve to know who wants to occupy that office of president. Now, we made the point of conspiratorial silence. We said so far we are disillusioned, but we are not surprised at the conspiratorial silence of a section of the media over this grave issue of national importance. Even after seeing court processes in form of a sworn affidavit, we observe an embarrassing silence yet from a section of the media. We have consistently made our case against the unethical and partisan antics of some media houses, and this development vindicates us. When it was the case of the spurious and dead case of drug dealing leveled against our candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, this media platform threw caution to the winds and zealously feasted on it. Of course, we gallantly came out. We didn't hide. We came out and vigorously disproved all the tissues of lies against our candidates. All of us here, we were on air. We did not hide. Now you can see all of them hiding. Since this allegation, they were hiding under the table. All of them. Hiding, all of them. They can't face the cameras. Why? Because they're even scared of what the young man is holding. Because the young man warned them that if you talk, earth-shaking revelation will begin to drop. So they ran away. Even the garrulous ones ran away. They should come out like us now. Come out and defend their principle. They don't know who they are campaigning for. They don't. They don't know. This person was actually closer to him than all of them. And that's what he told them. You saw pictures of him in Atiku's bedroom in Dubai. You saw pictures of him everywhere with Atiku. They don't even know that they are not closer to him than him. So, but now the press has gone strangely quiet. Well, whether they keep quiet or not, it's our firm belief that the judiciary is the last hope of the hopeless. In this case, the judiciary will not be quiet, as we shall clearly take steps in the next few days to initiate a judicial process seeking the outright disqualification. Go and look at the code of conduct for public officers. It is there. It happened to Nixon too. If you've forgotten, Nixon in the United States, unethical practice as president, this as candidate. Our code of conduct says once you breach the code of conduct, use companies and people to take, you are banned from public office. So I don't know whether the PCC will approve court actions today, but knowing me and my trajectory for the last 30 years in this country, I have fought principalities using the instrumentality of the law. I've gone to prison for it. They have charged me to court. I have written a letter this morning, apart from this, to the law enforcement agencies, The PCC, they don't approve me. If Asiwaju say I should stop campaigning for him because of this, I'll stop. This is national interest. If you say drop from cabinet because of this, I will drop. This is national interest. I am going to court myself. Apart from the PCC decision on this, I have written to them and the letters are there, distributed to all of them. 3 law enforcement, they are giving them an ultimatum. I will proceed to court to ask for disqualification of Atiku Abubakar. He is not fit to run for the highest office of the land. He is clearly ethically challenged, morally damaged for the highest office of the land. He can't survive this. He can't. We call on the 4th estate of the Rim to resist the temptation of partisan recruitment at this moment. You know partisan recruitment. They will go around with envelope now. Gentlemen, it is your treasury we are talking about. This is damaging. It is the nation we are talking about, not brown envelope. It's beyond brown envelope. This is highest criminality that they practice at the highest office, highest level at that time. So please, we call for you to resist the temptation of partisan recruitment at this moment. Rise to a patriotic call this defining hour and save the nation from this candidate that serially abused his office as Vice President of Nigeria. Thank you, and God bless your time.
And I ask myself, why is it that some people can do these things with such impunity and nothing happens to them, whilst others would have done nothing at all and everything bad happens to them? This is not the kind of society we want or that we worked for. And I want to say clearly and categorically, and this is, whichever side of the political divide you are on, from that audio tape alone, it is clear that Atiku Abubakar is a criminal. A criminal that should not only be arrested, he should also be jailed. He has brought disgrace and infamy on everything that the Obasanjo government achieved. He has crumbled it. He has made it clear that so many horrendous things were going on behind the scenes. And this is unacceptable to me and to all the other people, both in PDP today and in APC today, that were in any way linked to that administration. So for me, there's a great outrage about this sort of thing. Secondly, I want to make this point, if I may, and I want us to take this very seriously. The safety of the whistleblower is at stake. This is a very serious issue. And I join Festus Keyamo and others, Dele and everybody else on this side of the divide to say, look, nothing must happen to this man. I am aware that 1 or 2 individuals that are very close to Atiku Abubakar have gone as far as to suggest that they want to take his life. They're keeping quiet publicly, but behind the scenes, they are shaking like chicken because they know that this is their end. If it had been anybody else in this room, or if it had been our candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whose voice you heard on that audio, by now, you know what would have happened. Let's face it, let's be honest. Every newspaper in this country, it would have been headline. It would have been on every television station in this country. We would have been lambasted, insulted, and they would have called for his arrest. But there was silence here. Everybody was pretending, everybody was ignoring it. Why? Because it's Atiku. Now I say this finally, that those that believe within Atiku's camp, and again, there's an identifiable person, I don't want to mention his name yet, but I will when the time comes, a businessman that believe that they have all the security agencies in their pockets because they boasted this, that nothing can happen because we have all the security agents in our pockets. Let it be that this is a case that will prove him and them wrong. He's not above the law. I call for his investigation, his invitation, and his prosecution, because others have been prosecuted for doing far less. This is what you call direct evidence. It's not a question of hearsay. Direct evidence. And if he has a defense, let him come and provide the defense. But if nothing happens, and if under this government, a man can come out and get away with saying that This is how we stole money. We used SPV. We did this. Naming names, naming companies, naming that, naming amounts of money. And he gets away with it. What will the world say about Nigeria? Can this type of man ever be trusted with power in this country? In my view, and in the view of all of us here, the answer to that question is no. He's not fit to be president. He's not fit to run as president. And the people around him are even worse criminals than he is. And we have absolutely no fear. And like Festus has said, if what we are saying here will cost us anything, because, you know, this is a very emotional moment for me and for many of us. No matter what it costs us for saying these things against them, it's not just about the campaign anymore. It's about the integrity of our country. And whether or not, as the leading black nation on earth, whether we have decent men that can run for office. They maligned Asiwaju for so long, for so many months. They called him a drug dealer. They called him everything. They said he was mentally unsound. They said this, that, everything. We simply responded forcefully, and we stood our ground. Now, a serious allegation has come from their own mouths. A man confessing to criminal acts when he was in power. And you expect us to keep quiet? Let them bring out their brightest and best to defend this one. We're waiting for them. Thank you very much.